The Tao of Self-Confidence, Episode 78. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of outstanding women finding their inner journey to self-confidence 5 days a week. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com to check out amazing blog articles and our killer resources. Well, hello, friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of phenomenal women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap Chan, and today's guest, I have a special lady on who is a writer and an author. She has some books that's been published. She has some more coming out soon. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Linda Pharathikoune. Linda, how are you doing today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourselves to the listeners.
Sure. Hi, I'm Linda, and I'm a writer. I am in the process of writing a few books. I actually just sent out a book proposal last week to a literary agent in New York. So I am in the process of working on a couple of projects. I have a project coming up with Satu Press, who will be publishing a children's book with me next year. So I'm happy to announce that. And I live in Idyllwild, which is a small mountain community here in Southern California. And this is me and what I do and where I live. And I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. I'm really glad that you're able to come on and share your story. So, Linda, what's your cultural background?
I'm Lao American. I was born here in Savannah, Georgia. My parents are from Laos. They immigrated here after the war in 1979.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And, what would be your favorite self-confidence quote?
My very favorite self-confidence quote is "Know thyself" by Socrates. He said that, and I just really enjoy the simplicity of that and what that means to me. So, yeah, I would say that would be my favorite self-confidence quote.
Thanks. I think that's a great quote. It's so short, but yet so powerful at the same time. Mm-hmm. Because with self-confidence, you really have to know yourself before doing anything. So I really love that, and thanks for sharing that.
Sure.
And in your own words, how would you define self-confidence?
I've thought a lot about this, and to me, self-confidence is to know yourself so intimately and to trust your inner essence so much, and to be so comfortable in your own skin that people automatically want to be the best version of his or herself around you.
I like that. And, it's so true, right? We have to be comfortable with who we are, right? Especially as women, especially as Asian women.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Every day we're told to do so many things, sit up straight, don't make any noise, don't do this, don't do that. And sometimes we forget who we are when, there's so many people telling us what to do. So it's really, really important to know ourselves, to get to know ourselves, to be comfortable with who we are and, be okay with being ourselves. So thanks for sharing that. And, what was your life like before your discovery of self-confidence?
I've had some really rough times in my life, and in my early 20s I used to suffer from social anxiety, but it was something that I hid very well, and I didn't do well emotionally being around a lot of people. But I do distinctly remember a specific thing that happened. I was invited to a friend's birthday party, and it was a party and a person who was very important to me, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, I'll go. And it was at a Mexican restaurant in Santa Rosa when I was living there, and I just remember driving with her in the car, and I could just feel myself. My palms were starting to sweat, and I just got really nervous and really scared. And then as we were walking into the restaurant, it was a large crowd, and I just remember walking through, and I could feel myself shrinking inside. And it just, it was one of those things where I was like, I can't be here. I just started to break down, and I started to cry, and I felt really small and insignificant. And I do remember that because it was just one of those moments where I realized that my insecurities was really starting to impact my life. And I walked through life feeling very insecure for a very long time. And so with that, though, I just I recognized that I couldn't live like that anymore. And I was, starting to push a lot of people away. And it was all driven because I was feeling just insecure and that I didn't fit in, that I didn't belong. But that changed. That changed.
Thanks for sharing that. And I think we've all gone through that, right? I mean, when we feel different, when we feel like we're not part of the crowd, start thinking, well, maybe there's something wrong with me, or maybe nobody wants to talk to me. We have all these like self-limiting beliefs in our heads.
Yes.
And we have to remember that it's all in our heads, and we can change that in an instant. So, I'm glad you were able to change things around. And what was that aha moment when you realized, you are an amazing person. You can do things, amazing things out there, and you can be able to bring out your personality, and regardless of what anyone thinks.
Well, I don't think that it was one very specific aha moment. It was a series of moments over time. And, after that event, after that birthday party, and just kind of being aware that I couldn't live like that, I knew that I had to be okay with myself and be okay in social settings, and just really started to work on myself. And, I really wanted to get past those insecurities, but I also knew that I had to stop looking outside of myself for validation. And so I started taking acting classes and did improvisational comedy. I've done stand-up comedy, and I do other performing things like karaoke and stuff. But it was something that I could just practice being with people and in front of people so that I could get comfortable with myself. And it was probably a huge, during the process of being in acting class and diving into characters, and when you're in that process of diving in, you really have to look at yourself and look at your shadow parts and look at the things that are serving your life that will serve the character. And so performing became one of the things that really brought me out of my shell and really got me into the realm of knowing myself. And it's a scary thing to do in and of itself, performing, but it also really allows you to go deep in introspection, and it really challenges you to show up in the moment and be present, and allows you to be fully self-expressed at the risk of being judged. Self-judgment for one thing, and then judgment by other people who you're performing for. So it really helped me to cultivate trust in my own choices in my life, and I realized that when I became more comfortable with trusting myself to make, small choices to big choices in my life, I felt more powerful inside. And I just feel like if you are willing to make choices and live in the consequences of those choices and trust that you'll make powerful choices, then the confidence naturally arises. And I also believe that self-confidence is born of self-reliance and learning how to be on your own and live on your own and learning how to enjoy your own company. And I know that sounds kind of weird or a paradox, but I just have this belief that you have to be okay with being with yourself so that you can be yourself with other people. And for me, self-reliance is a big thing because I've been on my own since I was 16, and I've had to really, look to myself to provide for myself and be okay with that. And in the process of growing up very fast, I've just really learned to be in line and be honest with myself along the way about what I want, what I don't want, what I need, what I don't need, what is serving my life and what isn't serving my life, and being okay to make choices around those things.
Thanks for sharing that. And I believe being with yourself is probably one of the greatest lessons to learn from. Just whether it's living on your own or going to a trip on your own or even just going to a restaurant. Some people don't understand it because, I moved here to Hawaii for the winter, and they're like, why would you do that? You're by yourself, right? Who are you going to talk to? What if you get lonely? And it's like, I don't understand why some people ask these questions, right? I mean, if I was lonely, I wouldn't come here. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Things like that.
Totally. I moved up to Idyllwild, and I didn't know a single soul, but I also knew that it was something that I wanted to do and needed to do for my own peace of mind so that I could get into and create the conditions for myself to fulfill my dream as a writer. And I literally moved up here not knowing a soul, and it has been the most spectacular year that I could have imagined. I mean, now but it was also a test for me to really step outside of myself as well. Like, I got really comfortable in my life, and now, being social and making friends is a very easy thing for me to do. But in the past, it was very challenging because I really didn't like being around people. And now, it serves my life in a way that is conducive to just feeding my spirit. And so I just wanted to share that. But I totally understand where you're coming from. You definitely have to know what you want and be willing to take those chances, even if you take those chances by yourself.
So, Linda, what's your life like now after those discoveries?
Yeah, I just feel so comfortable with my life, and it's fulfilling for me, and it's satisfying, and I'm happy with it because I know that the thing that I'm doing right now is the exact thing that I want to do. I don't do anything that I don't want to do. I do everything that I do want to do, and I can approach life with this self-assuredness and certainty that no matter what I choose or decide, it'll always work out for my highest good. And I trust myself to make the right choices, even if they are hard choices, because at the end of the day, I feel good in who I am and the things that I choose to do. So, I would describe my life as really just chill and easygoing, and it's just really fulfilling for me. So, and I love being in the mountains. Like, being here in this environment has just really enlivened my soul and my spirit. So I just feel that I'm in the flow all the time.
I love it. Thanks for sharing that. And, Linda, for the woman who's listening to your episode, she's also in her own journey to self-confidence. What would be that one tip you would give to her?
I would say to develop a close relationship with yourself. Nurture your spirit, nurture your mind, be good to your body, cultivate self-respect, say no to the things that you don't want, and say yes to the things that you do, and do it because you genuinely want to do it. And don't compromise who you are to satisfy someone else's insecurity. I would also say be true to yourself and honor your choices, and to follow through on all of your commitments, no matter how small they are. And if you have children, I would say that to follow through on your commitments to your children if you have them.
Thanks for all those tips. Those are all great tips for our listeners out there.
Sure.
And if there's if our listeners wanted to get to know a little bit more about you and what you do, maybe they're interested in the books that you're about to publish. Is there any website or any social media profiles we can connect with?
Yeah, I'm mostly really active on Facebook, and I make all of my announcements on there. And so if any of your listeners would like to get in contact with me or follow me, please have them come to Facebook at Audacious L and send a note, say hi, introduce yourself, and I'd love to get to know you and be with you.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that info. And to the listeners out there, if you want to connect with Linda, you can also head on over to thetowofselfconfidence.com and search for Linda's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else we talked about. And I just want to thank Linda for sharing her story, taking the time to do this. So, Linda, thank you so much.
You're so very welcome. It was my pleasure.
Awesome. And be on the lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence. And I will catch you later. Bye for now.
Bye now.
Thank you for connecting with us on the Tao of Self-Confidence. Visit thetowofselfconfidence.com for links to everything we chatted about, as well as killer resources, gifts, and so much more.